Hello, welcome. We're going to talk about ferritin screening and intravenous iron in pregnancy for treating non-anemic iron deficiency. The results of a multicenter randomized trial will be presented. I'm Professor Khalid Khan from University of Granada in Spain, where formerly I have been Beatriz Galindo Distinguished Investigator. This trial has involved the input of CBER-ESP, the Network for Epidemiology and Public Health in Spain, as well as Ramon y Cajal Hospital in Spain. But the patients have been recruited in a country far away from here in Pakistan, where three centers took part. This is the published version of the trial in the Lancet Haematology journal, and you will see that the chief clinical investigators are listed first in the authorship. The trial's published in January 26 and has subsequently received publicity in the Spanish media. And with this video, I hope to be able to publicize further and better in this English-speaking world. The background is that in 2015, at the time when I worked in the UK with other colleagues, I recognized that non-anemic iron deficiency is a condition that could be diagnosed in pregnancy, but it was failing a recognition of the diagnosis. And interviews with clinicians demonstrated that there was uncertainty in practice about ferritin screening and the use of intravenous iron to treat non-anemic iron deficiency. Other literature reviews undertaken in my group at the time also revealed that there was a justification, at least scientifically, to proceed in the way this trial was designed, as I will explain shortly. The background, therefore, can be summarized as follows. Anemia is a recognized common condition in pregnancy, which is associated with severe morbidity and mortality, and that iron deficiency precedes anemia is well known physiologically. In terms of routine antenatal screening and the recommendations by international bodies, routine screening only targets anemia. It does not target iron deficiency directly. And this is because in screening tests, we measure hemoglobin, we do not measure ferritin. Oral iron is recommended for anemia prevention and treatment, and intravenous is only reserved for refractory cases. However, modern iron preparations can be safely used in single dose treatments, but as clinicians remain in equipoise and no guidelines tell them to proceed in this direction, as things stand at the time of starting this trial, and even today after its completion and a few months after publication, ferritin screening and intravenous iron to treat non-anemic iron deficiency are not routinely used in practice. We now turn to the trial. In 2019 and early 2020, ethics committee approvals were obtained and the trial was registered on the 14th of January on clinicaltrials.gov. The trial procedure was that people were screened, and if they were found to be non-anemic and iron deficient, they were invited to take part, whereby they signed a consent form. And here you see in the images the consent being obtained in the clinics over there in Pakistan. If they were then randomized uh, after obtaining the consent, they either received oral preventive iron therapy as recommended by the World Health Organization in low dose, or they received 1 gram of intravenous iron. These options were preserved inside a box which was simply numbered, and the numbered box, according to the pre-registration in the trial, was then handed over to the patient for either iron administration by oral route or intravenous route. So this way, randomization was implemented with concealment of randomization. Important to recognize that in this trial, double blinding was not implemented. This is not a regulatory trial. This is a post approval trial where we are looking at a specific use of the intravenous approved medications available for use in pregnancy. The trial was conducted with all the staff receiving good clinical practice training. The trial protocol was published early in 2023 while recruitment was ongoing, and the recruitment was supervised by a trial steering committee and a data monitoring committee of over 1,200 women screened. 600 were randomized, and outcome data were available for 465 women. Before the last recruited patient had completed follow-up, a statistical analysis plan was prepared and uploaded on the Open Science Framework platform so that it was publicly available before the data set was locked. Now we turn to the trial as reported. Here you see the flow diagram where it's clear that after screening, around half the women were not found to be non-anemic, therefore they were excluded from the trial. Those who were anemic and iron deficient were then randomized into 2 groups of approximately 300 in each group. But then during the course of follow-up, some women were lost, as is common in all pragmatic trials implemented in routine clinical practice. But the data available for those who completed follow-up were then subjected to statistical analysis according to the pre-planned statistical analysis plan. Here we see the baseline characteristics of the trial participants, and they were roughly equal as expected through randomization for the age, gestational age at the time of antenatal screening, occupation and educational level, etc., in the 2 groups. And now we turn to the result. The main result pertains to the changes in hemoglobin level at the time of booking compared to the time before delivery. So in the intravenous group, it is possible to see that none of the women at the time of antenatal booking are anemic according to the criteria of the trial. But we can see that a small number of women became anemic at the time before delivery at around 36 weeks. But the majority remained within the non-anemic level. On the other hand, in the control group, which received the WHO recommended low dose iron for prevention, after starting as non-anemic, you can see that a large majority of these women fell under the level of hemoglobin that is defined as anemia. And then when these results were analyzed statistically, it was possible to see that the difference between the 2 groups was statistically significant. If we examine the comparison by percentage of anemia rather than by the mean levels of hemoglobin alone, then it's possible to see that around 23% of women were anemic in the intervention group through intravenous iron just before delivery. However, nearly 75% of women were anemic under the WHO recommendation. So the trial intervention in form of screening plus intravenous iron resulted in a much lower proportion of women being anemic before delivery. As a secondary hypothesis, we also tested the effect on the baby, and we found that the cord hemoglobin was much better in the babies at birth that whose mother had received intravenous iron, and the fetal growth restriction rate was much, much, much lower compared to the group treated according to the WHO recommendation. So, how do we take these findings forward? Well, first of all, this is the first trial of its kind for maternal non-anemic iron deficiency. We found that intravenous iron is superior to oral routinely recommended iron supplementation at low dose, and it's better both for the mother as well as for the baby. So, the obvious recommendation is that the ferritin screening should be incorporated into routine antenatal screening at the first visit because hemoglobin alone is not a sufficient screening test. And intravenous iron should be offered in maternal non-anemic iron deficiency in the second half of pregnancy with a view to correcting maternal anemia at delivery and to improve the baby's birth weight, avoiding fetal growth restriction. And it can be considered that such treatment is a directly observed complete therapy. This trial has been undertaken in the setting of Pakistan, which is a low middle income country setting. But before implementation in a high income country setting, perhaps colleagues in these settings would like to repeat a similar trial to ensure that these findings will be replicable in their setting. And if they wish, they could also evaluate cost effectiveness. But it is highly predictable that the ferritin screening and intravenous iron therapy, given its enormous effect observed in this trial, will likely dominate the standard practice of hemoglobin screening and oral iron therapy. With this conclusion, I bring this video to an end, and I hope and look forward to your comments for discussion and development of this topic in the future.